Does the ordination of Aaron and his sons, washing, clothing, anointing, sacrificing, and eating, hint at the sacrifice of Christ and the Christian life? Let's look at Exodus 29. Was this ceremonial washing symbolic of what was to take place in the heart? Are our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water? Now this is what you shall do to them to consecrate them, that they may serve me as priests. Take 1 bull of the herd and 2 rams without blemish, and unleavened bread, unleavened cakes mixed with oil, and unleavened wafers smeared with oil. You shall make them of fine wheat flour. You shall put them in 1 basket, and bring them in the basket. And bring the bull and the 2 rams. You shall bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and wash them with water. Were Aaron and his sons to be dressed with the holy garments? Do we put on righteous garments? Then take the garments and clothe Aaron with the tunic, the robe for the ephod itself, and the breastpiece. Fasten the ephod on him with its woven waistband. Put the turban on his head, and place the holy diadem on the turban. Was anointing with oil also part of this ordination process? Is Jesus, our high priest, anointed? Are we also anointed? Take the anointing oil, pour it on his head, and anoint him. You must also bring his sons and clothe them with tunics. Tie the sashes on Aaron and his sons, and fasten headbands on them. The priesthood is to be theirs by a permanent statute. This is the way you'll ordain Aaron and his sons. What was to be done with the bull during this ordination ceremony? Was Jesus' sacrifice once for all? Do we offer sacrifices? You're to bring the bull in front of the tent of meeting, and Aaron and his sons are to lay their hands on the head of the bull. Then you're to slaughter the bull in the Lord's presence, at the doorway of the tent of meeting. Take some of the blood of the bull, put it on the horns of the altar with your finger, and pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. You are to take all the fat that covers the entrails, the lobe of the liver, the 2 kidneys, and the fat that's on them, and send them up in smoke on the altar. You are to burn the flesh of the bull, its hide, and its refuse with fire outside the camp. It's a sin offering. What was to be done to one of the 2 rams during the ordination ceremony? You shall also take 1 ram, and Aaron and his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the ram, and you shall slay the ram, and you shall take his blood, and sprinkle it round about upon the altar. And you shall cut the ram in pieces, and wash the inwards of him, and his legs, and put them to his pieces and to his head. And you shall burn the whole ram upon the altar. It's a burnt offering to the Lord. It's a sweet savour, an offering made by fire to the Lord. What was to be done with the 2nd ram during the ordination ceremony? Then you shall take the 2nd ram, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on the head of the ram. You shall slaughter the ram, and take some of its blood, and put it on the lobe of Aaron's right ear, and on the lobes of his sons' right ears, and on the thumbs of their right hands, and on the big toes of their right feet, and splash the rest of the blood around on the altar. Then you shall take some of the blood that's on the altar, and some of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it on Aaron, and on his garments, and on his sons, and on his sons' garments with him. So he and his garments shall be set apart as holy, as well as his sons and his sons' garments with him. What else was to be done with the 2nd ram during the ordination ceremony? You shall also take the fat from the ram, and the fat tail, and the fat that covers the entrails, and the lobe of the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that's on them, and the right thigh, for it's a ram of ordination, and 1 loaf of bread, and 1 cake of bread mixed with oil, and 1 wafer from the basket of unleavened bread, which is set before the Lord. And you shall put all these in the hands of Aaron, and in the hands of his sons, and shall wave them as a wave offering before the Lord. Then you shall take them from their hands, and offer them up in smoke on the altar of the burnt offering, for a soothing aroma before the Lord. It's an offering by fire to the Lord. Was a holy barbecue part of the second ram's offering during this ordination? After you take the breast of the ram for Aaron's ordination, wave it before the Lord as a wave offering, and it'll be your share. Consecrate those parts of the ordination ram that belong to Aaron and his sons, the breast that was waved, and the thigh that was presented. This is always to be the perpetual share from the Israelites for Aaron and his sons. It's the contribution the Israelites are to make to the Lord from their fellowship offerings. Were the sacred garments to become an heirloom for future generations of priests? Aaron's sacred garments must be preserved for his descendants who succeed him, and they'll wear them when they're anointed and ordained. The descendant who succeeds him as high priest will wear these clothes for 7 days as he ministers in the tabernacle and the holy place. Where were Aaron and his sons to eat this holy barbecue? What about parts that were left over? Is this a feast of fellowship with God and a foretaste of communion? You shall take the ram of consecration and boil its meat in a holy place. Aaron and his sons shall eat the meat of the ram and the bread that's in the basket at the door of the tent of meeting. They shall eat those things with which atonement was made, to consecrate and sanctify them. But a stranger shall not eat of it, because they're holy. If anything of the meat of the consecration or of the bread remains to the morning, then you shall burn the remainder with fire. It shall not be eaten because it's holy. How long was the ordination ceremony for Aaron and his sons to last? Treat Aaron and his sons just as I've commanded you. Ordain them for 7 days. Every day you should offer a bull as a purification offering for reconciliation. You should remove the sin from the altar through a ritual of reconciliation, and you should anoint the altar to make it holy. 7 days you should perform the ritual of reconciliation for the altar and make it holy. In this way the altar will become most holy, and whatever touches the altar will also become holy. What were the daily sacrifices to be made by the priests? Each day you must sacrifice 2 lambs a year old, 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. With each lamb offer 1/10 of an ephah, or about 1 kilogram, of your finest flour, mixed with 1/4 of a hin, or about 1 liter of pure olive oil, and also pour out 1/4 of a hin, or about 1 liter of wine, as an offering. The smell of this sacrifice on the fires of the altar will be pleasing to me. You and your descendants must always offer this sacrifice on the altar at the entrance to the sacred tent. What would God do with Israel? How holy was Israel to be? There I'll meet with the people of Israel, and it shall be sanctified by my glory. I'll consecrate the tent of meeting and the altar. Aaron also and his sons I'll consecrate to serve me as priests. I'll dwell among the people of Israel and will be their God, and they shall know that I am the Lord their God, who brought them out of the land of Egypt, that I might dwell among them. I am the Lord their God. Does the ordination of Aaron and his sons, washing, clothing, anointing, sacrificing, and eating, hint at the sacrifice of Christ and the Christian life? You decide.